Welcome back, everybody. Before I start this reading on Beto O'Rourke, I want to send out my heartfelt thanks to those of you who have sent donations. Thank you so much. Also, those of you who are getting in touch for readings, I'm really enjoying doing those readings. So if you want one, my email is on every video. But this morning, I did a reading for one of my regulars who I read for fairly often. You know who you are. I won't out you on YouTube. And he asked me for a past life reading. And I thought, I haven't done a past life reading for decades, viewers. So I did. And I really enjoyed that process. And I thought, I might offer that in the future. It's not available yet, so if you're applying for a reading now, we're talking about normal readings, but I think I will get back into past life readings. They throw a lot of light on our behaviour and our experiences and what's happening. So it was really quite interesting. Okay, the other bit of housekeeping before I move on, is people have asked me about the cards I'm using at the moment, the Japorizzi Tarot. Now, I call them the French cards because Nino Japorizzi, who is the artist, lives in France, but is in fact originally from Georgia, part of the Soviet Union when there was a Soviet Union. So, a Georgian artist living in France. The difficult to pronounce Japorizzi deck. They are amazing. Now, we can't get onto O'Rourke without talking about Ted Cruz. And I think Ted Cruz is in a very tight race with Mike Pence for who is the most boring man in American politics. Let me know your opinion, viewers. I think Pence wins. I've never known of a vice president who had less to say, who is scarier as a candidate for president because he doesn't say anything and is just one of those sinister forces of the ultra evangelical right. Not a nice guy. If you want to see my reading on Pence, I did The Ghost in the West Wing. So you just put in Lena Rodriguez and Pence, Ghost in the West Wing, it'll come up. But they're both suspiciously weird guys, and I'm reminded of that old joke, what's the worst Republican nightmare? To be caught in a motel with a live boy or a dead girl. And I think both of them, there's something really weird about that. So I hope they get caught in motel rooms with all of those things. Oh, I won't count that because I haven't got a question yet, viewers. So I'm going to have a quick look at Ted Cruz before I move on to Beto O'Rourke. Ted Cruz. What's his story? Oh, is he going to be around? Oh, yuck, 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 yuck. Okay. Oh. War. Oh, sorry, viewers. Here we go. Oh. Maybe it was the venom I put into the shuffle. Oh, I should really shuffle again, but I'm not. War. What does that mean in a personal reading? He is in a war with young Beto O'Rourke, probably one he didn't expect, but he's also on many fronts, in many wars. He's in a war with modernity. He's one of those Republicans that really wants to represent 1890s Christian thinking. He's at war with immigration despite having the surname Cruz. He's at war, I think, with anything progressive or humane. And needlessly, he could have a softer approach and still do his job, but maybe even view as he's at war with himself. But he's certainly at war, not least of which is with Beto O'Rourke. Eight of Tides, Eight of Cups. Fairly bleak card, you'd have to say, viewers. There are other interpretations I could go for, but it's one of those cards when you're in strife. Having both these cards, War and the Eight of Tides, makes me wonder if he's not actually in a more compromised position. This speaks of being compromised with the bent money, bent Republican stuff. I think he could be in it up to the navel. I hadn't thought about him in those terms, but not good. This is followed by illusion and delusion about money. These three cards together are not spelling out a good look for Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz is quite corrupt. I thought he was really just quite straight and boring and conservative and dull. Blah, 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 blah. I think he has real money worries in terms of where his donations come from. Is he NRA supported, viewers? I'm sure some of you will know. Probably we're talking Texas, but there could be some connection between Ted Cruz, the NRA, and Russian money that's a bit more specific. It's not looking good for Ted Cruz. He's on his way out. He's on his way out. Okay, at this stage, I don't know whether he's going to be outvoted by those who vote for young Beto O'Rourke, or whether the corruption stuff is going to catch up with him independently. In other words, it wouldn't matter who was up against him. But he's not going to be there for the long game. Interesting. Very interesting. One more down. Okay. Now on to the bright young thing, Beto O'Rourke. He strikes me as being very sincere. I hope he's not too wholesome for the game of politics, which is always ugly. It's especially ugly now, but it's always ugly. So let's see what's happening for young Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke. Oh, let's see. Okay. Mixed viewers. All right, I've done a little mini past, present, future for him. His signifier overlooking it. Three of Wands. I love it in this deck, floating over the world. I think Putin got it in a slightly more negative context. Where can I invade next? But this is in its more benign sort of interpretation of looking at the big picture, really trying to look at the big picture. In his immediate past, the Ten of Wands, hard work and strategic manoeuvring. He is working very, 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 very hard. I think he said, I've seen a couple of little snippets on him, he wants to go to every town in Texas and listen to people, and I think he means it. So he's been out there. Texas is not an easy state. I was last in Texas in 1979, and I have a few stories, viewers. but now is not the time. So he's doing his best to go on a listening tour of Texas and really see what's going on for people. So it's how he puts that knowledge into practice with what is happening on the chessboard of politics. He then gets the 7 of fire or 7 of wands. This is not easy. He's not a natural candidate for Texas, in the sense he's a thinking, caring young male. He's not an alpha male. He's not one of the traditional Texans who, you know, vote for me and I'll shoot everyone who gives you the shits. I can pull it off. I can do everything. No, he's so not a natural candidate. So the question becomes, is Texas ready for Beto O'Rourke, as well as is Beto O'Rourke up to the challenge? Current column. 9 of Swords. His heart's on his sleeve. He's flying naked, if you like. He is giving people an ear. He is listening. He's giving them honesty. He's giving them integrity. Whether they're up to receiving it, I don't know. I don't know. So, not easy. This stuff is not easy for him. He's got the 8 of fire. He's got the volcano. So, you know, this is constant challenges. In this case, the political context he's facing, he's up against big bucks. He's up against an entrenched establishment. And he's up against the traditional narrative of what Texas tells itself is Texan. But Texas, like the rest of America, may well be changing. The actual demographics of big towns, you know, including Houston and all sorts of places, they're more diverse now. They've got a younger workforce from other places. It might be shifting, but he is doing the hard yards. He next gets the 6 of Wands. He's a bit of a star. People do warm to him. People do like him, and people are watching him. The most honest thing, remember I was talking about his honesty, because he's a baby in the sense, I mean, God knows how, he's probably in his 30s, but he strikes me as very young. He's playing true to himself, and people are watching him. He then gets the Empress, which is fertility and new possibilities. It's a very positive card to be getting in terms of where he might be going next. It's positive, but it's not in the bag. So going further out, he gets the Page of Wands. This is him again, the youthful energy. He's got the fire, he's got the heart, he's got the energy. But I'm not convinced, this is not conclusive whether it's enough. So what I would say for Beto at this point in time is people are listening to him. They do feel it's time for a change. Right? He's listening to them, they're listening to him. The ground is being sown. His youth could work for him and against him in different situations with different voting groups. What I will say is, I'm not seeing a screaming landslide for him, but if something happens to Cruz, it could go in his favour. Or if he misses out this time, he's young enough to be there for the next round. So I just simply wish him all the best. All the best. I'll keep an eye on that one. You know. Okay. like Beto. Ciao.